Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It's been like months. I know, I'm sorry. School's been busy, university, midterms, also just been a lot of tired, uh, life stuff. But yeah, so I'm back with another video. Last series was the database, Phoenix DB. I didn't abandon the project, okay? I didn't abandon it. I just simply abandoned it temporarily. But all jokes aside, I appreciate everyone who did watch those videos. Um, I had got to a point in the project, like just looking at it now, where it's usable and I could add more features, but honestly, I just want to move on to another project. So I'll add to Phoenix DB as I need to, but right now it's not really like I guess a usable project by the public because I don't have any documentation. The API could probably use more testing, and all that. But like I said, I'm just one person and I have other stuff going on. But as you guys can see, Slyther Wars, this is my new project. If you guys know the popular game Slither IO, literally played it as a kid all the time. The snake game, you join the game and you're a snake. You can move it around. Let's see if I can go kill somebody real quick. Just ooh, got one. Oh, and I died. Yeah, okay, we're done. But yeah, that's pretty much Slither. It's the game I'm remaking. Why? Just as a learning experience, and also because I've never really fully. I made a game before, but it was like Sudoku, which isn't that impressive. And then I made tic-tac-toe a few times in React, but like I've never like actually made a game. So I wanted to try that. And I'm doing it in Rust. And the reason for that is that the original idea was okay, let's have a website like Slither. So I didn't really want to use any like big game engine like Phaser or some of the other JS ones. They're just like some of them, they don't have great TypeScript support. And then also they just have so much like not bloat, but just features and I'm not even sure if I need them. And I'm also like not that familiar with game development programming. So I thought, you know what, let me just keep things simple as possible and just try to make a decent, like very crappy but decent prototype, right? Like as long as the prototype works, then I can like I'd rather get the idea out and then make small iterations and improvements versus like going all in and never making progress because that's sometimes how it feels when like you try to tackle something too complex. Whereas if I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is taking everything step by step, I can learn as I go and then overall get better. So that's the idea. But some of the stack is basically, Bevy, Serde, Tokyo, um, SQLite for the local client side cache. Um, Also using might use Phoenix DB actually, which I'll talk about that later when I go over the diagram. And yeah, I also like was Googling around just like trying to see how other people built the game or at least like attempted to just to learn. And I found this like Slither Protocol, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure how like real this is, but it looks pretty legit just because it's like actually detailed. And it's basically from like version 11, which is like 5 years ago. So I'm assuming this has probably changed quite a bit from 5 years. And it seems like I'm guessing the Slither like actual like server that powers the game is probably in C++. Um, Most likely. But yeah, it's just interesting. I just read through it just to kind of like see like some of the idea behind everything or, you know, also when I'm designing my protocols for my game, just kind of, see how the pros did it. But yeah, here's basically this diagram that I wrote. And basically, it's just details how the game's systems and modules interact with each other, right? So both of the client and server will use a shared protocol library, which you can see right here is just a Rust crate. Also, no, I'm not using Rust workspaces, and that's on purpose. But where is it? Yeah, so all of them have a shared protocol. The reason for this is again one of the reasons that I moved away from JavaScript is that the types are really important to me because again, I'm not super well knowledged in how to do this professionally. So things being easy and me running into less bugs as possible makes everything easier. And having a API where I can say, okay, this is the networking protocol for the game, for the client and the server, and being able to have both the client and server implement those traits and structs and enums and whatever from the same code base is really, really helpful. And having to like go from Rust types to TypeScript is just not great. Also, HTML Canvas just is not even a game engine. It's literally just like a pixel rendering thing. Whereas Bevy just does a whole lot more from like, actual like, startup events to the game loop to, user input, keyboard input, resource management. Like it's really good. The more I learn Bevy. And I've just been learning Bevy by literally looking at the examples from GitHub, plugging them into my own code, and then like seeing how the code connects, looking into the functions, reading what they do. Like that's all I've been doing. So I don't know that much Bevy. Like if you told me to, write all the Bevy code I've written so far as a recording, which is not a lot, as you'll see, I couldn't do it, from scratch. But the examples do show me like more possibilities because when I see the example, I'm like, okay, I can customize it like this and do like this. So, in a minute, like after recording later today, I'm going to try to get track mouse movement, which will be useful because that's how I'm going to control the snake direction and which way it's moving. So, yeah, but I thought about I can see how I can do that just from the Bevy example. So it's pretty cool. Which is another cool thing about like having like a language like Rust or that's really type safe. Um, and not because type safety is like, the most important thing, but Rust types are so explicit that it's almost like self-documenting. You know what I mean? Because like you'll never really see in Rust a type that doesn't have sorry, you'll never see a value or variable that doesn't have a type associated to it. So it's like, what does this variable do? Well, let's look at the type. Okay, well, it does this. It has um an arc mutex pointer to a function that calls XYZ or an enum, right? So it must be used by some threads or maybe Tokyo because it's async or XYZ, right? You can just kind of look at that. You can start to notice like patterns and the certain like types. And so it makes reading like I think I'm pretty decent at reading like Rust code, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, so the client, basically the player client will have this Bevy component, then a network manager, which I haven't written yet at all, which I won't really write until I get the actual game working. Because like I said, I'm doing a client single player prototype first, just to see if it's even possible or if, because I don't want to write too much and then I quit and wasting my time. So yeah, super simple right now. I'll probably expand this diagram as I need to. And then the server side, the idea for this is that the TCP server will, read incoming messages, basically generate some kind of, packet, and then we'll have some handlers for each of those depending on the type of data. And every single like event will basically modify the game state, which is held on the server. And so basically, the server has the initial game state. When a user joins, the server starts sending that client all the game state, right, as it comes through. And on the server, I was thinking of having some kind of event loop, right? Where basically, um, the server doesn't do anything until it gets some kind of network packet, pushed to the event loop. And this event loop will then process that packet. So, example for like player movement, right? Now, in the real world, as soon as a player spawns, they won't be able to stop. So they'll always be moving, which means they'll always send data to the server to process. That's how you kind of get that moving animation, right? Um, because the I want the client to be like in the multiplayer version. In the single player version is different, but in the multiplayer version of the game, I want the client to be dependent on the server, right? If the server stops transmitting data to the client, like sending it those move events, which basically I guess the server and client will have some kind of like ping or something where it's like if the connection's cut, just stop. But I want the Bevy game engine to be dependent on the data from the server. And this way we can I can guarantee that like collisions and even people trying to cheat just won't happen because the server will be the authority, right? I'm not sure how I'll do this 100%. That's why I said like I want to make a demo and then I want to talk to someone who's actually like experienced in making at least like multiplayer stuff so I can know how to design the backend because I feel like the backend is the most complex part of making Slither work, not the front end. Like the front end is, cool, but just the multiplayer aspect of things is pretty interesting. And yeah, and then also I was thinking of having like some kind of global like leaderboard. And so that was where I was like, oh, I can use Phoenix DB because I can just run like Phoenix DB in a Docker container, host it on the same server as the game server, on another, CPU core or whatever. Um, and the game client can send messages to actually I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I want like the game server to contact the global store cache. That's probably what I'll do. That's probably actually safer too because yeah. I don't know. Actually, I don't know though. Yeah. But I guess I would want to avoid since there'll be desktop apps, I do want to avoid like yeah, I think one single point of entry is better. Either way, the point is that Phoenix DB would be good for that because it's like I said, it's basically a just a hash map that anybody can connect to through TCP. I did write like a command protocol, which I'm actually proud of myself because like the code looks pretty good, right? I'll show you guys. Like, see, got a little trait action going on. You feel me? Um, Command executor. Look at all those fancy types. Got that box dynamic error send sync static. What the hell does that mean? Um, Rust is a really beautiful code, isn't it? But yeah, that's pretty much how the game works in theory. I'm gonna not gonna try to make this video too long. Um, but yeah, this is sort of the idea, the prototype behind it. So let me go ahead and like show you guys the actual like progress so far. So here's the game. You can see we have some console output, which is cool. It's currently printing, some FPS diagnostics because I have that Bevy plugin. But if you have used Bevy, this is like literally a copy and paste of the menu. But I actually think this is cool. Like I would like a game menu, and then these settings, we can display and sound settings. The UI is not great at all. Like it looks like a 10-year-old made this. But like I said, I don't care. I'm more for functionality over aesthetics right now. We're just trying to make stuff work, right? But the buttons work. We can also quit. If we go to display, actually, I'll show you guys this first, just so you could see that it actually did change. So you can see quality is medium and volume is 10, right? And then once we wait, it goes back to the menu. Um, in real game, when you hit actually like this would just be something like play or join, and then it would just like when you hit this button, it would try to connect to a server, and then that connection will start sending you data. And yeah, you'll basically be in the game with other players. Um, we can change the sound to that. Then we can go to display and change it to high. And then you can see the volume is now 9 and the quality is high. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have so far. Obviously needs a lot of work, but yeah, this is the current project. And I just want to update you guys, kind of make this little first little game dev vlog, you know what I'm saying? Um, and hopefully this project turns out well. But yeah, this is also Bebby, if you guys didn't know, pretty much. Rust game engine. Probably should have showed this like 13 minutes ago. And yeah, this is like I said, this is how I pretty much learn. Like I'll probably add something like this, low power, because why not? It just seems cool. And like I said, the more examples I go through, like the more I learn. Like I'm looking at the input examples, mouse input. Okay, seems like we can use mouse motion events. I'm not sure what data this returns, but I can simply copy this code into my game and then look at the output in the console, right? It's pretty cool. But there's like so many gestures that you can read from the mouse, right? Which I didn't even know. And actually, these examples is more helpful than the documentation to me because the docs is like, if you know where to look, you can learn everything. But it's like the examples are like, here's what's possible, which gives me the knowledge to know what I can do with the framework. Then if I want to dive deeper, now I know where to look. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I think I'm done ranting and nerding out now. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This is open source. I thought the repo was public, but it's not. But I mean, I thought the repo was private, but it actually wasn't. Um, Nope. And so I just kind of left it like that. So yeah, feel free to check it out if you guys want. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.